The Paul Young Rod Company has its origins going back as far as 1921. Paul Young was a skilled taxidermist working in Detroit, Michigan, and started building rods. Soon, his rod business took off. Many people were interested in obtaining a rod. It would be in 1956 that another rod builder, a 16-year-old Bob Summers, began working with Paul Young. And it was about this time that Mr. Summers worked with Mr. Young to produce some of the finest rods that the world has ever seen. This particular rod is the Martha Marie model, and according to Mr. Summers, Martha Marie, Paul Young's wife, asked Paul to produce a rod that had a little more backbone than his perfectionist rod. This particular model is a 7.5-foot rod, two-piece, two-tip, weighs in at 3.65 ounces. And based on the serial number, which is 4345, we know that the rod was built sometime around 1966, 1967, a few years after Paul Young had passed. This particular rod was indeed built by Bob Summers. And according to Mr. Summers, Martha Marie had a skill, or a knack rather, for landing large fish in the Ausable River, requiring a rod with a little more backbone than a perfectionist. And according to Bob, this particular rod is one of the finest 5-weight, 7.5-foot rods ever made.
My name's Beth. I've been fly fishing for about 4 years now, and it was really awesome using a rod that took me back to basics, let me really feel the cast. The way I describe fly fishing is like driving a manual car and instead of an automatic, and this rod feels like driving a manual car because you can really feel all the movements and you're more in tune with what you're doing. Fishing for these little fish, it's important to be able to really feel the fish, and this rod made it really easy to know when a fish was on, which is super important. Pretty Bird Lake has gotten super overgrown with algae, so you have to be super precise with where you're casting so you don't get tangled up. So it was nice to have a rod that really allowed you to target a certain area. People don't often think of Texas as an awesome place to fly fish, but there's actually tons of fly fishing opportunities if you're willing to look for them. Austin is close to the Lower Colorado, which has bass fishing, the Guadalupe, which has trout fishing, and then we're just a couple hours from the coast, which has some of the best red fishing ever. Who has the chance to cast a bamboo rod to give it a shot, it really makes you appreciate the art of the cast.